Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net. Thanks again for watching. It's Friday the 13th of December and it's time to take a look a little bit further ahead and see where models are trying to push us just at the moment. Now, I always say this is a long-range guidance, really, just ideas as to where we're looking at the winter going at the moment. It's not a forecast by any means, so please don't fall into the trap of thinking that it is. And just a reminder as well that the site here is kept free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen here. So when you come back and use the site, that generates the revenue that keeps us free of charge and means we can add more products all the time. Okay, so first up we got the Japanese Met Agency forecast, which has just been released. This is week 1, so this has taken us forward to next Thursday, which is going to be the 19th of December. And what this is showing us is this ridge here across Eastern Europe. We've got the low the normal heights out towards the west, and this strong jet stream screaming across the Atlantic. It's that brings the more unsettled weather next week, mostly towards the north and the west, and also windy conditions too. I think at some point next week we do have to expect severe gales. So we can say that the starting point's a good one from the JMA. So then what does it do? Well, this is week 2. So this takes us from next Friday the 20th through until the following Thursday, which is Boxing Day. So it takes us up to the 26th. And what this one is doing is it's actually trying to get a ridge building in the Atlantic, but you notice these low the normal heights to the north, it just can't do it. So what it does, it squeezes this jet eastwards. It builds the trough here out towards the east of the UK. And again, we see this evidence of a ridge building through into Europe as well. Now, the problem here is that these low the normal heights you see up towards the north here, these blue colours, are preventing this ridge building too far north. Now what that means is that we just can't get any cold air in, which is why we're still looking as if we're going to be staying in a relatively mild west to west southwesterly flow through the Christmas period. Now it may be that it actually goes more round into the west, in which case it would be a little bit cooler. But I think what we've got to face really is the idea this one is going to be a green Christmas and perhaps even a stormy one at times, particularly during the first part of this forecast period. It may settle off a little bit as we get towards Christmas. And then week 3 and 4, which take us from the 27th of December through until the start of January. So when would that be? That would be up to the 9th of January. Now, you have to bear in mind that this chart is valid for 2 weeks. So it's taking the mean of the 500 millibar heights over 2 weeks. But what it's trying to show again, look, is this strong jet stream through the country. It's actually over the country, a little bit further south. Notice as well, look, this lays low the normal heights staying up to the north. Ridge off to the east, ridge in the Atlantic here. The screaming jet coming through here. And the ridge building here through Europe. Now, actually, this ridge in a way, if you are a cold lover, may be quite good news, because if we can get these heights lowered up here and get this trough built further south through here, the effect it would be that actually we would end up with a cut-off trough somewhere down here and a ridge somewhere up towards the north here, which would bring in more of a colder easterly flow. However, no signs of that just at the moment on this one. What this chart is showing is things staying fairly unsettled into the new year, and generally the temperatures around normal for the time of year, I would say. I'm not going to go too mild, I'm going to say around about normal, but it tries to keep this unsettled pattern going. But remember, this is only one model. So we have to compare with other models and see how they compare. This is the CFS for week 1, and again, low the normal heights up towards the north here, high the normal heights down towards the south. There's the strong southwest jet stream, so we've got a good comparison to start with. Let's have a look at week 2. Well, week 2 does a very similar thing. Look, low the normal heights up towards the west, high the normal heights towards the east. There's that southerly flow, that south to southwesterly flow. So again, indicating through the period up to Boxing Day that we stay fairly unsettled. So then into week 3, the CFS trying to keep things pretty unsettled too. Look, it puts that centre of low heights just to the west of Scotland. This would be a screaming jet stream coming through, lining us up for a windy and a wet spell of weather as we go through the new year, as well as being mild. And then into week 4, well, again, it's got low the normal heights, this time over us, but look what's happened here, okay? Remember what I was telling you about that ridge? Well, look what's happened to it. Here is the ridge built off towards the east. Here is the trough through the British Isles. That is a start of potentially a colder pattern, particularly if this ridge here can build further north. So we have to look at the possibility of things potentially turning colder around the 5th or the 6th of January time. It's that sort of period. The CFS normally is the good marker at week 4 to pick up any signs of a change. And with this ridge particularly nudging off towards the east, that's the sign of the potential of some cooler weather ahead. But today we've also got the Korean model updated as well. This is early January according to the Korean, and look, that's doing something similar. It's building the ridge off towards the east here, and it's trying to hint at this idea of a trough across Greenland into the north of the UK, but generally that ridge is built through the British Isles. And while we've got these lower than normal heights up towards the north, these blue colours here, that ridge just can't build that far north. So the Korean is looking less cool. Now, into the middle part of January, what it then tries to do is bring the trough out to the east. It brings the ridge here, the trough out to the west, the ridge off towards the east. So high pressure here, lower pressure here. And it tries to get in more of a south to south-southeasterly flow. Now, this does show signs of being a colder pattern, because notice the breakdown of the heights up towards the north. So it potentially could be a colder pattern, but at the moment it does look like a mild or a near normal flow on that one. But I have to say, you know, the jury is out on that one really. And then late January looking like this, with the ridge building back through, higher pressure is in again, and we build up more of a westerly jet. So it's hinting at anything that was chilly only being short-lived. Now the Korean also has some longer range stuff available at the moment, going through to March. Again, you just got to treat it very, very cautiously. It's just one model. This is the way the Koreans see things for January. It's saying that higher pressures up towards the east, through the Atlantic as well, higher than normal heights, and this kind of trough out towards the west. That would bring probably rain or tendency for more rain than normal across northern and western parts of Scotland, Western Ireland as well. But off towards the east and the south of the country, at times the flow could go into the south or the southeast, and that would bring cooler weather across eastern areas. But we're talking just slightly cooler. We're not talking Armageddon cold. We're talking just colder than normal conditions. Across many parts of England and Wales, though, temperatures would hold up to near normal given that sort of pattern. Now into February, and February does try to build higher pressure off towards the east, with a more dominant area of high pressure, perhaps bringing the south or southeasterly flow. So it brings dry conditions, but it brings cooler weather as well. And then into March, well, it's hinted at a stronger jet across the Atlantic, probably south of the UK, blocked off high up towards the north with more of an easterly flow. So it tries to keep March cold too. So I think what we've got to say is the Korean certainly is looking towards cooler conditions, but of course this is just one model. I have to say, not particularly buying into that idea. I think the idea of pressure perhaps building to the east in February is a good one, with some cooler conditions at times, not desperately cold, but not sure about the March one. I think we may well end up more of a west or southwesterly through March, but I look for signs. This is the first output really for March that's shown such cool conditions. If we start to get back up from the CFS, from the JMA and from the ECMWF, then we need to start revising the forecast possibly for February and March. But of course I'll keep you updated here at weatherweb.net right the way throughout. Once again, thanks for watching. Whatever you're doing today, keep the sun shining, and bye for now.